On June 9th, 2026, Anthropic launched what it called the most capable AI model ever made available to the public. 3 days later, it was gone. Not a bug, not an outage. The United States government ordered it shut down. This is the first time a leading AI company has pulled a publicly deployed model offline because the federal government told it to. And the reason they did it sits right in our wheelhouse: cybersecurity. So what is Fable 5? Why was the government so alarmed? What does jailbreaking have to do with it? And what does this mean for the future of AI? Let's break it down. Let's start with the timeline, because the speed of this is the story. June 9th, Anthropic launches two models: Claude Fable 5, a public model, and Claude Mythos 5, a restricted, more powerful sibling for vetted partners. Fable is essentially Mythos with heavy safety guardrails bolted on. For 3 days, Fable 5 is live to everyone. Then on Friday, June 12th at 5:21 p.m. Eastern, Anthropic receives a directive from the U.S. government. Citing national security and export control authorities, the government orders Anthropic to suspend all access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 for any foreign national, anywhere in the world, inside or outside the U.S., including Anthropic's own foreign national employees. Here's the catch. There's no clean technical way to verify the nationality of every user in real time. So to actually comply, Anthropic says it had to do the only thing it could: disable Fable 5 and Mythos 5 entirely. For everyone. Access to all of Anthropic's other models, Opus, Sonnet, Haiku, was unaffected. A flagship model lived for 3 days, switched off by Friday evening. To understand why the government reacted that way, you need to understand what this model can actually do. Anthropic puts its models in tiers. Fable and Mythos are what they call Mythos class, a tier that sits above their previous top model, Opus. Anthropic described Fable 5 as state-of-the-art on nearly every benchmark they tested: software engineering, scientific research, vision, knowledge work, and critically, the longer and more complex the task, the bigger its lead. Some concrete examples. Stripe reported Fable 5 compressed months of engineering into days, doing a codebase-wide migration on a 50 million line codebase in a single day, work that would have taken a team over 2 months by hand. It can rebuild a web app's source code from screenshots alone. In drug design, the Mythos version reportedly accelerated parts of the process roughly tenfold, autonomously matching or beating skilled human operators on protein design tasks. Now, the difference between the two models is the whole point. Mythos 5 is the raw model with the strongest cybersecurity capabilities of any model in the world, according to Anthropic. It's restricted to government and vetted cyber defense partners through something called Project Glasswing. Fable 5 is the same underlying model, but with safety classifiers that block or redirect dangerous queries, so it could be released to the public. And the capability the government cares about most? Finding software vulnerabilities. Per reporting, the underlying Mythos technology is so good at detecting vulnerabilities that it surfaced flaws that had gone undiscovered for decades. U.S. authorities and select companies have already been using it to plug security holes. But that same skill, the thing that makes it a phenomenal defensive tool, is exactly what makes it dangerous in the wrong hands. This is the core tension, and as security professionals, we know it intimately. A tool that can find vulnerabilities at superhuman speed is a defender's dream and an attacker's dream. It's the same tool. The industry word for this is dual use. Anthropic knew this. That's why Fable 5 shipped with what they call a defense-in-depth strategy. Layer 1, safety classifiers. Separate AI systems that watch for misuse. When Fable detects a request touching cybersecurity, biology, chemistry, or model distillation, it doesn't answer with the powerful model. It silently hands the request off to the weaker Opus 4.8 instead and tells the user. Anthropic says these guardrails were tuned so conservatively that users actually complained they were too aggressive, triggering on harmless requests. Layer 2, monitoring. Anthropic required 30-day data retention on this class of model specifically so it could detect and shut down novel attacks. They ran red team testing. thousands of hours with the US government, the UK's AI Safety Institute, and external bug bounty hunters. Anthropic says that testing found no universal jailbreak, no single trick that broadly unlocks the model's dangerous capabilities. Keep that phrase in mind, universal jailbreak, because the entire dispute comes down to it. So why did the government act? According to Anthropic, the directive didn't spell out the specific concern in detail. But their understanding is that the government believed it had learned of a method to bypass, to jailbreak, Fable 5 safeguards. A jailbreak, for anyone newer to this, it's a prompt or technique that tricks an AI into ignoring its own safety rules. There are two flavors that matter here. A universal jailbreak broadly disables the guardrails across the board. That's the nightmare scenario. A non-universal one works only in a narrow, specific situation. Anthropic says it reviewed the report it believes triggered the order. Their conclusion, it was a narrow, non-universal jailbreak that essentially amounted to asking the model to read a specific code base and fix software flaws in it. They say they validated the capability on display and found it was nothing special. That publicly available models, including OpenAI's GPT 5.5, can do the same thing, and that defenders use exactly this capability every single day. So the two sides see it very differently. The government's posture, that a way to bypass safeguards on the most capable cyber AI in the world is a national security problem, full stop, especially when foreign adversaries are in the picture. And these are export-controlled capabilities. Anthropic's posture, that this particular finding was minor, broadly available elsewhere, and not grounds for yanking a model used by hundreds of millions of people. It's worth being fair to both readings. To the government, the asymmetry of risk justifies caution. If there's any chance a frontier cyber weapon safeguards can be peeled back, the downside is catastrophic. To Anthropic, applying that standard consistently would mean no frontier model could ever ship, because, in their words, perfect jailbreak resistance probably isn't possible for anyone today. Anthropic complied, the models are down, but it publicly disagreed, which is unusual. Its core arguments: 1, it had not received a disclosure of any concerning jailbreak that led to a genuinely harmful result. 2, the capability cited is widely available from other models. And 3, if a narrow potential jailbreak were grounds for recall, that standard would essentially halt all new model deployments across the entire industry. Anthropic also pointed at its own stated principle, that government should be able to block unsafe deployments, but through a process that's transparent, fair, clear, and grounded in technical facts. Their argument is that this action didn't meet that bar. They called it a misunderstanding and said they're working to restore access as soon as possible. One more layer of irony worth noting. Just days earlier, Anthropic had publicly urged the AI industry to consider pausing frontier development over safety concerns. So this isn't a company that dismisses AI risk. It's a company arguing this specific call got the risk assessment wrong. Step back, and the precedent is the real headline. This is the first time a leading AI company has taken a publicly deployed model offline due to direct federal intervention. That's a line being crossed in real time. A few implications. First, AI capability is now firmly an export control and national security matter. The same legal machinery that governs advanced chips and weapons is now being pointed at model access. Second, for businesses, this is a continuity risk most haven't priced in. A model your workflow depends on can vanish on a Friday evening because of a government letter. And third, for our field specifically, it's an admission of how powerful AI vulnerability discovery has become. You don't shut down a chatbot over national security. You shut down something you regard as a weapon. Whatever your view, government overreach, or prudent caution about a genuinely dangerous capability, the era where frontier AI and national security are treated as separate conversations is over. Quick recap. Anthropic launched Fable 5 and Mythos 5 on June 9th. On June 12th, a U.S. export control directive forced both offline over a suspected jailbreak of the model's cyber safeguards. Anthropic complied but disagrees, calling it a narrow, widely available capability. And we just watched the first government-forced shutdown of a deployed frontier model. What's your take? Necessary caution or dangerous precedent? Tell me in the comments. If you want the breakdowns the headlines skip, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.